Okay, so we are here with our next speaker. Next speaker is Victor, and he's going to tell us about the situation where the government is your competitor and how you can build your business in regulated industries, and how especially in industries concerning healthcare and security in private data, how to work with that. So please, Victor, go ahead.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to say that I have never done this before. So let me know if this doesn't make sense. But my objective is, one, hopefully this can be useful for you. And I'm not an expert on all of these. I just started this about a year ago. So hopefully we can get something out of it. So just quick introduction. My name is Victor. I just quit my job last year to start a healthcare company. What my company is about is gather all this health data that you have. Right? A lot of us here foreigners, we have data overseas, we have data here. In Japan, our data is belong to that hospital have one data, the other hospital have snapshot. The objective is gather that together, and you can share it, you can use AI to analyze it, you can do whatever you want with it. Right? That's the whole idea. Now, in my experience, we face a lot of problems. Like startups, all startups have problems. On the technology, co-founder, this and that. I found the biggest problem that we have is when the government become your biggest competitor. Startup itself is struggling without having big competitor. Now, so what I want to go through here is that as a startup itself, we already have a lot of bigger problems. We have to fight with Fujitsu, Hitachi, all these big companies in Japan, and it's a red ocean. Then you have big giant coming in and like, hey, by the way, yeah, we're also like your particular customers. And this is not only in healthcare. This happens in a lot of other fields without being known, right? And the thing with government is that they're not only big, they have power to make rules. We're nobody. We're just one person or two person maybe, right? Then the worst part, this is the worst part, is they're not profit oriented. They don't really care about money. They're not trying to make money. When you have an enemy or a rival who don't really care about money, there is no weakness. They can do whatever they want, right? They also have unlimited resources in a sense that, well, they need somebody from university, bring it in. They want somebody from company who will be like, yes, sure, we'll do whatever you want, sir. And that's very, very scary, right? But the last one, and this is probably more unique in Japan than other countries, credibility. In a startup, we were told to speak to your customer. I did that for a whole year. Talking to a customer in Japan is tough. They will ask you one thing. What makes your product different than other products, right? In other countries, they're trying to understand, how do you scratch my itch? Why your product's perfect for me? In Japan, they expect you done that homework already, but you're extra special that you're different with somebody else. You're different with the market stuff. And if you're a foreigner, you're probably thinking like, bro, why do you ask me that question? Shouldn't, is this what you want? But rather than, is this how you be different with other competitors? Because that kind of question usually being asked by VCs, for example, not by customers. Now, how does it make sense on the credibility on the customer? In Japan, is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. But Japanese people trust their governments. And they're not wrong. I've been living in a couple of countries before. Japanese government is one of the more capable ones. You have problem with tax, you go to tax office, call them, somebody will come down who did your tax and said, hey, by the way, your tax missing one document. I cannot do that in Australia or Singapore, Indonesia. In Japan, you can do that. The bureaucracy works. The Japanese government, Japanese people trust their government. When I talk to the Japanese people about the product, for example, the response that they gave me was simple. Hey, what about that my number, for example? I would rather use my government's product than your product. this is one thing. The product doesn't even exist yet at that time. I mean, my number of people already know about it. People complain about it. They complain about it, but they trust it because it's the government doing it. Now, but as a rival, not competitor, rival, not enemy, the government also not very great at certain things. Startups can do things very quickly. The governments are pretty slow. They use public's money, so they have to be responsible for it. Well, I use my own money and some borrow some other monies, so I don't really, as long as I can get something to replace it, that's good, right? The government is not. They also generally very bad with innovations. I haven't seen a government in whole world who can actually do innovations for themselves. I mean, yes, they have to work with universities, they have to do with this and that, but they don't tend to be great at innovations. And also, because they use public money, a lot of them have to be responsible for it, right? They get scrutinized. Hey, why do you use my tax money for this purpose? Yes, a lot of governments slander that money. They just basically, oh, sorry, project doesn't work. We built that bridge for going nowhere, $10 billion. Oh, sorry about that. If you go to Hawaii, you see all these railroads, it leads to nowhere because they spend like a couple of billions and maybe I shouldn't do that, right? So this is the weakness. And also, they have a problem, they have a responsibility not to just work with anyone else, in a sense. So to have the optics of not being corrupt, they cannot just go like, hey, Hitachi, I want to work with you about this. They can't, even though, and they have to have a lot of solutions for it, right? So a lot of what do you call it? A check and balance in a sense. But all this list, one of the things that I feel that as a startup we can win is the speed. The government can be slow. And I'll tell you this. The project for incorporating my number into the daily life of healthcare is a 10-year project. I did it myself in 6 months. Well, of course, I'm not saying mine's better, right? And I'm not great in IT, in a sense. But if somebody like, I don't know, Fadim, do it in 3 months, probably better quality than what government can do, right? So that's one particular factor that we have. And, of course, the rest of the generative bad with intentions and innovations and stuff, one thing. Now, I forgot to talk about my number, by the way. So incorporating my number into healthcare is a 10-year project. And we are at year 5. I went to the conference. They have this conference with Kyoto University, Digital Health, Ministry of Economics, Ministry of Health and Labor. And this is weird because if you look at my number, probably Tomoko knows, it's controlled by Ministry of Economics, not Ministry of Health. Weirdly, right? So they have a lot of interdepartmental kind of fight. And digital ministry basically, yeah, we don't really care about that, So, and the Ishikai, the top doctor association, you got to do it fast. But when it happens, they're like, no, you shouldn't do it. It kind of push and pull. We're year 5 out of 10-year plan. We haven't had anything yet. Not even technology. We haven't had the product description. We don't have the PRD. If you software development, we don't have the full PRD yet. It's just being released in January at the year 5, right? So, not great. So, what's next? What can we do as a startup, as a business, to compete with these governments, right? And the last thing I want to ask is, is it the fight worth fighting? Is it the enemy that we have to beat? Is this the people that we have to go against? Remember, they're giants, right? For example, if you're from Russia, the Russian government giants, right? Even if you're from Africa, the government is giants too. They can do everything they want. They can put you in jail if they want to. Can we win this? So there are a few things that I learned and I'm trying to do right now is to win it, is what you call integrated market strategy, in the sense that, can we play with my number? Can we use my number as a data to get trust, for example? And it's difficult. They have to approve you and stuff like that, right? Basically, let's play together. Let's not be enemies. Let's play together. I'll scratch your itch if you can help me do this, right? And I've been trying to do this, and they're quite welcome in Japan. Indonesia, not so much. Singapore, not that great. Taiwan, you need a lot of paperwork, as everybody else. The other one is adjacent market strategy. This is where you know that the limit of government is in that country. So if you have multiple countries, technically, like the first one, you have to play with everybody, but you also have the advantage of what government cannot do. So for example, that you have my number in Japan. If you go to Hawaii or Indonesia, Russia, whatever, you should be able to use it. But you can't because it's only in Japan. It's specifically in Japan. And that's the bigger weakness. Now, the other one is the premium experience one, in the sense that this is what the government cannot offer you, that the support, the kind of like, we can do a very good UI, for example, or we can connect with different businesses more quickly, for example. That integrated experience is another strategy that we can talk about. So hopefully that is useful, and for you, I don't know how it's gonna impact this, but yeah, that was all I have, and hopefully, yeah, any question?
So if any of you guys online have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat.
Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah.
My question is, what do you think about strategy in some countries? I saw it in Russia a few times, actually, making a product for government, and after that selling this product to government.
That works too. However, certain countries like Japan, they don't want to be seen to be choosing certain business. They want to be equal for everybody. Oh, sorry. So that's limit them from, like what you said, buying certain business. Because first of all, they don't really care about profit, right? They don't care about profit in a sense they feel that's also very troublesome to do M&A, for example, right? The other type of, I mean, I've heard in Russia, like what is the Facebook for Russia in the past?
VK.
Yeah, that one's, and the Russian government didn't really buy them, right? They basically like, I want that, right? But the reason being is because they cannot really build in the social media with that impact. They just basically like, well, we need the data, so yeah, that's mine, thank you very much. Yeah, so I see less of that, in a sense, the government buying that. Yeah.
I see. Thank you for your opinion.
Thank you. Sorry for that.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Yes, Thomas.
Yeah, thanks, Victor. So I have some questions, because again, I'm not an expert in this field, but when it comes to the type of data that you wish to kind of have portable across, let's say different clinics, hospitals, etc., do you see like an opportunity or a challenge between, for example, certain, sort of generic data that's more portable, like the My Number card, like, did you pay your health insurance, etc., versus something like I got an X-ray at clinic A, but I have the surgery at clinic B, but I want a third opinion from clinic. So, that kind of thing. Is there an opportunity there to arbitrage between the different types of data?
Yes. So the idea is actually not to have different types of data in a sense, but because all these hospitals, they work with one standards. It's called FHIR, in the sense that every data should be translatable to that. X-ray, prescription, everything. In the sense that FHIR ensures interchangeability. So now the question is, it's not about technical, it's about wanting or not. So for example, you have X-ray, right, of your body. Every year you have that, or you do one. But you feel like, oh, you know what, I want to go to second opinion for the second doctor. They will almost certainly ask you to do another x-ray. Not because x-ray is the same. It's just a machine in a sense, like, yeah, take my photo, done. They want to get more money.
Yeah.
And they cannot really tell you like, oh, we don't trust that x-ray. But they were like, yeah, for safety, you need to take another x-ray. Simply it's economic reason. But in terms of interchangeability in different data, there's an opportunity, yes. 100%. It's just whether the certain hospital want to do it or not, it's economical reason.
Interesting. And just to follow up on that, so do you think then there could be an opportunity as a private sector actor to be able to provide that layer?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. Interesting.
And also, my experience is very similar to my previous answer. The opportunity is there. The thing that you have to answer the question for the hospitals these days, especially in Japan, is not about how can we help scratch your itch, how can we help you make more money? Everything's about money.
Yeah.
Like that. So 100% there's an opportunities.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I've been discussing about medtech quite some time, not only within Japan but also globally.
Yeah.
And most of countries in Western societies, apart from America, the system is nationalized, so that the government is paying anyway to everybody for the healthcare. And I'm wondering who do you think you can get correct money from? Because I was discussing with people in Asian countries because of the workshop I was giving my presentation about medtech, AI in healthcare the other day.
Yeah.
And they're also talking about who are going to pay for the extra money. Because the preventive medicine, for instance, is the cost and not covered by the national insurance system most of the time. So which target are you actually thinking about?
So there are a few things, and this is what I think Thomas was asking before. Our experience is that working with hospital is not that great because they don't have money either. People who have money tend to be like companies like Seiyaku Gaisha, which is pharmacy, and insurance. These two have tons of money. And this is where we pivot our business. So the idea is that, using the healthcare data as an identity, because if you have a lot of data, what can you do with it? Nothing. For example, you do health check every year. What do you do with the data? You put it in a drawer somewhere, right? But that data is a treasure trove of, if you use it for like 10 years, 5 years, you can see pattern, right? Or I'm 42 now. Somebody with my exact body type and my what do you call it, diet 10 years ago is now 52. I want to see what that guy have. Maybe a heart disease, or maybe I shouldn't eat so much KFC then, right? That kind of data worth something to somebody. And that's what we aim for pharmacy and insurance, because they have money. The simple reason.
Pharmacy wants to sell their products.
Yes.
Which is they want disease.
In a sense, yes. But they also want to know their medication, if it's effective or not. And this is where we work with like prescription, and we also ask the patients automatically after they consume the medicine, and like, do you get better, right? And compile that results to something. They also want to monitor the health history, for example.
I think you might be able to work with the public nurse system together with the public healthcare organization. I mean, Hokenjo.
Yeah.
More,
Yes.
because they are more on the preventative medicine type.
Yes.
And also some local government, because the public health is also related to them,
Yes.
but because the national healthcare system is breaking and falling apart very much soon, partly because doctors are aging as well as the society is aging.
Yeah.
So we will have the problem of finding doctors anyway,
Yeah.
especially rural areas. But also the local government hasn't got enough money anymore already, so that they are looking for some solutions to reduce the cost.
Yeah.
But at the same time, because of the political reasons,
Yes.
so you should find the weak link
Yes.
to crack the market.
Yes, thank you. And that's a really good idea. One of the problems with Hokenjo is that they are not well loved compared to hospitals. They are not. So Hokenjo, if people who on the line never heard about it, is basically an area, an office where the responsibility to monitor the health on the area, right? I have 2 kids, and kids tend to go to daycare and have a virus exchange, right? Our system can detect, for example, this particular hotspot of measles, for example. Well, I mean, measles doesn't exist anymore, but let's say some disease or cold or whatever disease. Hokenjo would like that. The problem is they're not contacting Hokenjo. The local government don't really see them as the next frontier of health, even though their job is to be the next frontier. They just, well, yeah.
I can introduce one.
Really? That'll be great.
No, I can't introduce the local government,
yeah.
but I can introduce one case. Well, later,
Okay.
not today, but.
Thank you. I'll be happy to hear that. Thank you very much, Tomoko-san.
Any other questions? Don't think we have anything from online. Yeah, maybe I can ask a last question.
Sure, sure.
So yeah, it's a little bit of a tricky topic, to be frank, but that's some kind of like interesting. So like recently, the Japanese government released new guidelines on cybersecurity.
Yeah.
What I actually notice a lot is that a lot of these guidelines are actually basically copying some of the things that are done in US or Europe, and basically, yeah, just trying to do the same stuff in Japan. But what I find usually like the big question is like, so instead of just copying, why don't you adapt or like like ask the local experts about this? So like, what would you say? How would like, let's say for a local expert or someone like good at security and like knowledgeable in security or like in healthcare, how they can get into like to the government, how the government can get more information on them and how they can collaborate? Is there like any ways or like things that you tried or like you think it's going to be good for this?
That is a very good question. And to be honest, I don't know the answer for that exactly, but I know why the Japanese government do that. If you look at Japanese government or Japanese corporate society, if you approach Japanese companies, Tomoko-san will know, and Hiroi-san probably will know, they will ask one thing as well. Jire, jiseki. Those 2 words means, what do you call it? Not traction. What do you call it, Tomoko-san? That's in English? Previous experience. Success stories, in a sense.
Yeah.
Right? So rather than, and Japanese, if you look at the history of Toyota or whatever, it's about kaizen, improving things. So if something works overseas, we can adapt it here. But we adapt it. We don't use it exactly as it is, right? From the invention of arquebus, for example, the gun, back in the Portuguese time, up to Uber will be a great example. If Uber starts in Japan, it will not go anywhere. But it works in the US, maybe we should adapt it here. But we're not going to adapt it completely. We're just going to take some parts of it and do it. And your question probably, Leo, it's really related to like why there's not much invention in Japan.
Yeah.
That is completely different. Japan good in inventing things and make things better.
Yeah.
And I don't have the answer for that. But I know they try to talk to companies, and the companies, usually consultants or like Hitachi, Fujitsu, the big ones who also have consultancies. So they not completely don't ask the local help. They just want to make sure that the quality is great. And how do you know the quality is great? Well, the company is big, so I can trust them. It's about trust, right? They also probably don't know Leo is good about security, for example. But they know Fujitsu is in IT. So Fujitsu should know, right? Even though Fujitsu doesn't have a great track record, but Fujitsu is well known. They are well traded. So, yeah, that's probably the reason.
Japanese society, security comes first than adventure or new things. Because the balance between the security and what do you call
It's called
benefit.
yeah.
The benefit doesn't come fast. The security comes fast. As far as, especially about for the healthcare sector, always doctor asks, is it secure enough to
Yeah.
prescribe this patient? The benefit in Western societies, the benefit comes fast. That's why many pharmaceutical companies are struggling in for the Japanese market to sell the first year's launched product.
Yeah. But I think also want to add, Tomoko-san, when she said security, it also means two things. We're not talking about security as in like virus or like
It's more
hacking.
like stability.
Secure, yeah, stability, predictable. It's great. So there's the word anshin anzen, means like,
Yes.
you know the word, right? Secure, safe and secure. That's very important. Because if security is number one, like what you talked about security, then, you know, Leo will be like, I'm the guy for security, talk to me. But for that, they don't really have that. Look at Digital Cho, right? It's built specifically for that reason. Digital transformation, security is number one.
Yeah.
Who did they contract it to? Well, those companies that it's already well known.
Basically, like, yeah, I think like it's like for a separate topic, to be frank. But yeah, from experience, yeah, it's like in the Western society, like, yeah, especially if you look at the AI domain right now,
Yeah.
like no one is basically talking about AI security that much.
Yeah.
Well, there are people, there are like topics, and there are discussions, but when like in generally like the new model is released, the first thing is innovation. It's not talking about data security or something like this. Yeah, in Japan it's kind of the opposite, yes, but I would say the general level of security and the things like here are not on the same level as it should be.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a very ripe area for innovation and advancement to actually like introduce a better security practices. And I think like, yeah, from the government perspective, which I find like very strange, because like even like if you look at the government programs or accelerators for startups, so they have like topics like fintech, like blockchain, I know healthcare, like construction, services. There's no topic on security. There's topic on AI. There's topic on like XR or like VR technologies. But usually the security is not a separate topic. There's like insurtech right now, which is generally not a security as well, because it's insurance related products. And people say like, yeah, you want security, you go fintech. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like not a vertical or more horizontal thing. So, but this just points at an issue that it's not treated as a separate field. It's treated as
it's a given
addition, yeah.
And I also do know that a lot of companies purposely banking on the fear of going live on the internet to make money out of it. So for example, a lot of companies that, you know what, if you're afraid to go to the cloud, we will build on-premise system for you, and we're going to charge you a lot of money. And the hospital say, sure, security number one. By not going to the cloud, we cannot get hacked. By using paper, we cannot get hacked. Sure, fine. We will pay for it.
Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, I think like, yeah, we can summarize that the advice for the government is to work with more local experts, like involve more startups, involve more people on the edge of development, and yeah, basically let's build better security guidelines together with the government.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Victor.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.